Hey gang, welcome back to Joe Daddy's Garage. Today's video is an introduction to the Bronco project. Now, if you've been following along with my projects, you know that I've been working on the jig for the Mustang. I'm pretty much done with that. I have a couple small things I want to do to it, but I'm done for the most part. So I need to get moving on this project. Now, I've been struggling with some back injuries the past couple weeks, but I'm feeling better. I've been seeing my chiropractor, and that's helped a lot. So I need to get moving on this project. Now, to give you some background, this is a brand new body. Basically, I think the bulk of it is Dynacorn. I don't know for sure who made all the pieces and parts, but I'm going to say Dynacorn for the most part, but there could be some others. It was built at Nashville Bronco, belongs to a friend of mine out in Colorado. So he had it built in Nashville, and then he picked it up and brought it down to me to get it painted. You see in the background, there's the color that is probably going to be 98% sure. That is limestone green from a 1973-74 Ford paint code. That's what it's going to be. So we have some pictures of Broncos painted that color. It looks pretty cool. This one is not going to have any accent stripes on it. The only thing that we painted a different color is the insert for the grille, the dash, and the roll bar, which will be Wimbledon white. Now, I don't know specifically who built the roll bar. If I find that out, I will give you that information, and maybe you can seek them out if you want something built. But this is a new Bronco, the whole thing. All the ball, the sheet metal, all the body is new. The chassis is an original chassis, and so that's the thing now. You take what's left of an old Bronco and you build a new one, kind of like I did with the convertible project. So let's take a look at this and what needs to happen to get it painted. Let me start off by saying I think Nashville Bronco did a pretty good job on this. Really. I mean, things lined up really well from what I can see coming forward. This, when I first looked at it, I thought, oh, something's wrong because it's sitting up so high. But what it really is this piece of foam is in the door. So I take that out, and the door closes pretty nice. Now you can look at it and just see it's a little bit high right here, but I was also told that they put these doors on preloaded with weight as if it had windows in it. So this may flex down just a little bit with the weight of the window. Now, the line or the gaps look pretty good. Even at the bottom, things look nice. Where it meets the fender, pretty consistent. Now, there's little things I'm going to point out later on, but for now, I just want to show you the basic structure. Of course, the windshield frame is all new. Everything is new, and even the gap at that frame is pretty decent. I also want to point out at this time, this is not getting one of my super fine paint jobs. I don't mean that by the paint, I mean talking about the gaps and all that sort of thing. The owner is planning to drive this. It's not going to be taken to shows and shown. It's going to be driven. It's going to be gone off-road. So he wants a good paint job, but he's not worried about zero tolerance gaps. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. It allows me to kind of relax a little bit as I'm building something like this or painting it. However, there are some things I will need to address. So looking at this grill insert, this front piece here, as I pointed out or said earlier, this part will be white on this insert. Everything else will be body color. But little things I'll have to work on. I can't let certain things go. Like there's a little bit of a piece of metal missing on that corner. I'll probably weld that and build it up. There are tooling marks on this piece. I know it's hard to see with the camera probably, but those will have to be straightened up, taken out, cleaned up. Otherwise, the gap is decent. I may try to tune this just a little, just for me, to make it fit a little better. And it may just take a little massaging. But one thing that bothers me, but I don't know what I can do with it, is the way that the hood meets this fender. You can see up front here, it's very close to the grill opening, but the fender, the hood, there's quite a bit of difference there. If you go to the other side, it's a lot more consistent on the shape. Now I've already taken a straight edge and laid it on this and found that the hood itself, I believe, has a high point. So I may try to massage this a little. I don't think it's the fender. I think it's the hood itself. So I'll have to play with that a little bit. Up here, same thing on this corner. Just short of some metal. Didn't quite line up the way it should. Again, tooling marks going down the side. You might be able to see a little more there. This gap is more consistent, so happy with that. But like I said, these kind of things, they've got to be smoothed out. So I don't know how well that shows up. Going back on this side, oh, let me go back to the front for a second. I will say also the hood is slightly short of the grill, and the owners told me that there are shims that you can put behind this hinge that'll make the hood move forward and should take care of that. But moving on, the door gap on this side, the transition to the rocker panel, all that looks good. Looks good. Now come back here, and again I said this piece of foam is pushing this up a little bit, and everything's gonna have to come off. The doors, the fenders, the hood, the grill, of course the roll bar has to come out of it. So whenever I go to put this all back together, I don't have the glass and everything, and I may end up taking these doors and just kind of putting them back a little bit high the same way they did, so that when a glass goes in it settles out. So that's kind of the plan at this point. Gas inlet, this gap, really nice. Good job on this piece as well. You can see some of the welding they did inside of here. I'm not sure if they did any there, doesn't look like it. Some of the good weld through. Now I notice up here there's a lot of spot welds inside of that, and I don't know how consistent that is with a regular Bronco, but that tells me they did a lot of welding on this to make this solid. So that's pretty cool. Again, I think this interior pan is Dynacorn, and it looks like this piece is pre-welded to this piece. I say that because here are spot welds and they're black. So I don't know if this gets assembled and maybe they masked it off and painted it. I don't know. But definitely these are all painted. So normally you see something like that, it's been done previously. Now we'll say there's some shiny paint here, which tells me these are new welds. So that makes sense. But this isn't shiny back here. So I don't know for sure. Now the other thing that has to happen, besides getting the roll bar out, is a lot of prep work on the inside. The whole thing is getting painted inside and out. So I have to seam seal all of this. Anywhere there's a seam, I'm going to put in seam sealer and get all that addressed. The other thing I need to do is under the hood. I'll show you that in a minute, but under the hood, he's putting in an electronic module for the engine, and apparently the thing is they cut a hole right there in the firewall, and that's where it gets mounted. So I have that piece. I just have to figure out exactly where I want to put it, but it should be up in that area right there. I also have the dash, and I forgot to mention, these door panels will also get painted Wimbledon white. So the underside of the vehicle, it's already undercoated. Everything has been sprayed. The frame is all done. So nothing to worry about there. Coming forward, this fender, or the fenders, these panels, I'm going to assume I'm going to be putting paint on those. I don't know if he wants undercoating on this or not, but for now I have to consider just paint. So let me open up the hood and we'll take a look under there. Alright, with the hood up, you can see what I'm going to say is more of a raw metal. This doesn't look like it has weld-through primer on it. Spot welds. Usually the weld-through primer has a different sheen to it. So some of this may have weld-through on it, but I'm going to say some of it doesn't. I did notice this And I don't know how consistent it is on these. I can't say for sure. I see this is tapered down. I assume that's correct. It looks like it's shaped right, but I don't know. That's all I have to go by. There is a relief there where I guess the steering comes up here, so I'll just have to assume it's the way it's meant to be. There is undercoating all the way up to the bottom side there, you can see, and again, that's where that hole or module will get mounted in the midsection there. So I have to find a little more information on that. The underside of the hood, it has these welded in braces, and I don't know if they added those because those welds look kind of fresh to me. And it's got some paint in that midsection. It's not, doesn't look like it's factory. And there's your favorite sticker. Everybody likes to see that. I believe it says made in Taiwan. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Now the fenders, they're just sitting on here, not bolted down. Just a couple bolts hold them in different places. Hood bump stops, all that stuff will have to come loose, of course. But that's it. So I'm going to try to get the roll bar out of the way. I know that's not a light thing, but get that out of the way and try to get started on taking it apart. Okay, roll bars out, doors are off, fenders are off, hood is off, and I had a discussion with the owner. One of the concerns I had with this was how all of this area would get painted, because this metal is a galvanized steel. It would be pretty difficult to get into these gaps with a spray gun and try to spray down in here, you know, clear coat or color and clear coat and all that. And we talked it over some, and we came to the conclusion that it doesn't need to have body color there. He actually sent me a picture, which I'll show you, of his friend's Bronco, and it is undercoated all the way underneath. Everything is undercoated, and it looks really cool. By doing that, that eliminates a lot of problems with trying to spray paint down into tight spaces and trying to get clear coat and all that stuff. And it also will help with a little bit of noise reduction. Not much. Not worried about it in a Bronco, are you? But it'll look a lot cleaner, and I think it's going to be sharp. Now that upper panel up there, that will still be body color up on top because the hood opens up and you can see that. But everything else in that area will be undercoated. Along with that, this area will be undercoated. It really makes no sense to not undercoat this. You know, if you put paint there, nobody would see it, and you also get a lot of debris and rocks and whatever may kick up, especially this right here. This should definitely have undercoat on it. And the other idea that we talked about possibly was creating a tape line down here. You don't need to have paint so much exposed on this bottom edge of this rocker, but if you put a tape line and spray undercoating right here, then that helps protect it from anything coming up from the tires kicking up underneath here. So that'll be more than likely the plan for that. Now I had thought about actually taking this off of the chassis part of that concern with taking it off was trying to get into these areas to paint. But now, if we're going to do all that with undercoating, I think we can leave it together and it'll make it a lot easier. I do have the other pieces sitting around, the grill, the fender, one of the doors back there. So yeah, I like it. And of course, there's going to be a lot of scuffing, seam sealing, and all that to take place, but that'll come in the next video. So that'll be the end of this video. I hope to have the undercoating taken care of in the engine bay and all that sort of thing probably in the next video, I hope, depending on if I can get the materials that I want to use. If not, it'll be a lot of scuffing and seam sealing and all that fun stuff. But I think it's going to be a fun build. I hope you follow along. Share this video if you would. Let other people know what's going on. And don't forget, throw a thumbs up on there. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this video. And until next time, take care of yourselves. See ya.